Who is your greatest enemy? Maybe it's that kid you always fought against at school. Or maybe it's that colleague who's challenging you for that promotion. Or maybe you watched Vinland Saga and now you think you have no enemies. Well, you're all wrong. The biggest enemy that you face now and will face for the rest of your life is you. If you don't believe me, let me explain. Before I talk about how you are your biggest enemy, we need to go back to when you were growing up and explore 3 little characters that make up your mind: the id, the ego, and the superego. These are the 3 parts of the mind in Sigmund Freud's theory of personality. They represent different aspects of our thoughts and behaviors. Let me explain each one with a simple example. Starting with the id. The id is the primitive part of our personality that operates on the pleasure principle. Pretty much monkey brain. It wants immediate gratification of desires, needs, and impulses. It doesn't care about consequences or reality. Imagine you see a delicious cake at a bakery. The id is the part of you that says, I want that cake right now, and I'm going to eat it all. Okay? Now next is the ego. And the ego is the rational part that deals with reality. It operates on the reality principle, trying to satisfy the id's desires in a realistic and socially acceptable way. It balances the demands of the id, the superego, and reality. When you see the cake, the ego steps in and says, I want the cake, but I should buy just 1 slice because eating the whole cake isn't good for me. Finally, the superego is the moral part of our personality. It represents our sense of right and wrong, influenced by societal rules, morals, and values. It strives for perfection and can make us feel guilty when we don't live up to its ideals. When you think about buying the cake, the superego might say you shouldn't eat that cake at all. It's unhealthy, and you should eat something more nutritious. If you've ever seen a cartoon where a character has like a devil and an angel floating next to them, that's the id and superego fighting each other for the decision. Then the cartoon character steps in and makes a choice that is roughly the middle ground between both the characters. That's essentially how 99% of people on this planet operate. They have an angel and a devil with them their entire lives, battling for control. Now the problem lies in how you were raised as a kid. What the superego defines as its morals are heavily dictated by your surroundings. If you grew up in a world where killing someone because they hurt you was the norm, you would do the same without a second thought because your superego identified that as the moral thing to do. Now, most people grow up with 2 things that I think make you the biggest problem in your life. If you were to manage these 2 things, you would find enormous success, not just financially, but in literally everything you do. Okay, you want to know what they are? Let's go through them. The first one is something I call a fixed mindset. Most people think that the cards of life that they were dealt at birth are all they have and will have for the rest of their lives. A good example of this is IQ. A fixed mindset individual will have a low IQ and accept that this is how it is, and they'll never try to do anything that requires a high IQ, okay? They'll always push themselves down and never strive for something outside their box of ability. When I explain it like that, it sounds pretty obvious, right? It's pretty obviously bad, but most people live their lives like this, and it's really bad, and we need to change that. The easiest way to get out of this is by developing something called a growth mindset. Essentially, that means believing you can achieve anything humanly possible. You may be bad at something at the moment, but you can improve and get better with practice. A fixed mindset person may say that they are no good at math, okay? While a growth mindset person may say that they're not good at math yet. That tiny word has a huge impact on the trajectory of that person's life. Always being open to skills or topics you don't know yet and believe that with enough practice you can become good at is fantastic, okay? Never lock yourself into believing you can't improve, because humans are extremely adaptable creatures, meaning you can change and learn new skills much easier than you think. Give it a go. The second is believing that ego is bad, and that is, simply not true. Most people have been told to never have an ego or try to avoid it as much as possible, but that can actually be quite unhealthy. Now, it is true that there are some negative qualities of ego, but a healthy ego can have enormous benefits in your life if handled right. An ego is important for self-esteem, self-respect, ambition, and most importantly, confidence. Now, overconfidence here in Australia is looked down upon so much that it even has its own name. We call it tall poppy syndrome. But being overconfident is actually really good. When someone is overconfident in a fearful or stressful condition, That's not called overconfidence. That's called courage. And everyone can agree that courage is very good. Every professional, athlete, politician, teacher, and public speaker needs to be overconfident in their ability to perform, because all humans can sense how that person is feeling, okay? If someone is super confident, then we will be more likely to trust them and respect them because we believe they know what they're doing, which is what we want. So don't diss your ego. Respect it, embrace it, but don't let it control your life. Again, there are negatives to ego. We don't want those negatives, okay? We don't want that spilling into our lives. So do some research into ego and make sure to utilize it for your growth, okay? Watch some Jordan Peterson videos. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe down there, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Take care.